Monday, February 11th. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geeknights. Tonight, Wiki. Patangzu.
Let's do this.
So at work, right? I'm in charge of this big wiki project. I'm trying to get all our data into some wikis for documentation purposes, all that business. The thing that I've pretty much told every company I've ever worked at would be a good idea. And finally, I'm at a company that they're like, yes, do this. It sounds great. Go ahead. So one of the problems I ran into was that MediaWiki and every other wiki is okay, but they're all also kind of crappy.
Well, the thing is, they have, MediaWiki is probably the best wiki, but they all have problems, and none of them really have sort of these big features that people need if they're using them seriously.
And the thing is, though, the real problem is that right now I'm using Twiki, which is a pretty good wiki. I'd say that Twiki and MediaWiki are some of the best and most useful ones. But Twiki is based on flat files, as many wiki systems are. And MediaWiki is based on databases. I will submit that the latter is a much better way of handling things. But regardless, I got Twikis. All right? If it's in a corporate environment, I can't just have one Twiki or one wiki. I should have two, like the main one and then kind of the backup one, the disaster recovery one.
Couldn't you just have a wiki cluster that way?
Oh, yes, a wiki cluster. That would be fantastic. How am I going to do that?
You just have,
You know what? What do you do?
You don't cluster the wiki software itself. You use the cluster with the underlying Apache MySQL stack, and then you put the wiki on top of it, and it just works.
No, because the wiki is not in any way based on the database, so I'd have to make a database interface instead of the flat files, and it's complicated. Not that good of an idea, especially for my implementation. So, found this plugin, this thing that will synchronize two wikis, and it'll be offline, online. It's like this beautiful thing. So I'm testing it. I set up my whole test environment, and I make a change on one Twiki, and I hit replicate, and the change is put in the other wiki, and vice versa. And it uses the actual wiki APIs instead of using some sort of file system level thing. So it reconciles changes properly. It's a pretty good deal. But the point is disaster recovery. So if one server's down, right, then if people are making changes to the other one, because if I use an rsync, all right, great. But if one server's down and people use the other server, as soon as the first server comes back up, it starts rsyncing those files right back in, and it doesn't really, I lose stuff. So I turn off one of the servers, and I hit replicate. And it sits there for a while, and I think, all right, great. And then I go to use my wiki, and everything's gone. So I look through the log, and it had basically connected to my down wiki, saw it wasn't there, and the logic wasn't so great on this thing, so it said, well, that page is gone from the main server, so I'll delete it. Well, that page is gone, so I'll delete it. And every page was gone, so it deleted my entire wiki.
Awesome.
God damn it. So, all right, I bring the other server back on. I'm like, fuck, I'm going to restore this thing, and I'm going to start working again. So I hit synchronize on the main server again to sync it back up to do some more testing, see if I can maybe have the script at least, I don't know, ping the other server first, or see if the main wiki page is up or something before it synchronizes. And I hit synchronize, and then as soon as I hit synchronize, I think, wait a minute. So I start tailing the Twiki log, right? And I see it going, hey, I see that you deleted this page. Oh, replication slave. So I'm going to delete my copy. Oh, I see you deleted that page. So I'm going to delete my copy of that too. And all the other Twikis in this whole cluster systematically deleted one another and themselves.
Oh, that's some good programming right there.
That was, yeah, and at that point I knew it was happening, and instead of stopping it, I just kind of let it go to see how long it would take.
A while.
It took about 30 seconds to wipe out the rest of the wikis from that point.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that is my wiki story.
Yeah. I was sitting around today and I was thinking, hey, I haven't heard any news about that Spectrum auction. There was news about it, but then everyone shut up. And then just now, that was what I thought earlier in the day.
Yeah, because the last news I saw was no one bid enough money, huh?
There was news after that I did see. But just today, I realized when I got home and I went to go look at my Google Reader to find the news. Oh, right. I stopped sort of reading Google Reader, and there's 1,000 tech newses. And oh, look, a bunch of them are about the Spectrum auction. I just didn't read them. There are plenty of them.
So is that going to be your news?
No, not at all. I'm just pointing out that it took me a long time to find a news because there were 1,000 tech news items I had to go through.
Well, you see, Scott lately has been doing something that I've done in my life before, and it seems like, and maybe this should be a PSA for all of you geeks out there. If you read the internet all the time, if you stop obsessively reading the internet for like a week and only read it when you need to look something up, you might suddenly have a different outlook on life for a couple days.
I don't know. It's weird because every time I think I'm like, or like, especially, it's not that I think I'm hooked on anything, but like other people, I can understand from their perspective that they would think I would be hooked on something, like, because I do certain things a lot and I recognize I do them a lot. And it'd be understandable if someone thought I was addicted to them in some way. But every time I say, I'm just going to stop doing that, I pretty much stop doing it immediately and don't.
Well,
look
see,
back.
here's the thing. What I've noticed is
I never have any withdrawal symptoms or.
Well, what I've noticed, and this happened to me a couple times in my life, is if I stop reading the internet, especially stop reading the internet for no point, if I stop the just generic novelty seeking, like let's go to FARC and see what the headlines are, let's go to FARC again and see what the new headlines are, I generally feel a lot more awake and happy and better after I stop. And it might have to do with elevated serotonin levels or whatever. Not going to get into that.
I don't have any problem with that. I feel the same as I did before.
You say that, but I've noticed something. It's been a lot easier to do the show since you stopped reading the internet.
We haven't done the show since I stopped reading.
Yeah, and you know what? It's a lot easier to do right now.
Whatever.
But no, last week you weren't reading the internet either so much.
We didn't really do the show last week.
We did. We only skipped one.
Anyway.
But,
you want me to do the news that I did find?
I don't know. I got another kind of life anecdote that's related to tech.
All right.
I could tell this one because it's kind of important. We're going to Katsucon next weekend. Well, this weekend, actually. So if you live in the D.C. area and you want to meet us, we're going to be in D.C. So if you don't want to pay to get into Katsucon because you're not an anime fan, one, you probably should anyway because Katsucon's not like most anime cons. You probably have a good time. But that aside, give us a line and maybe we'll see you for lunch or something. I don't know. We'll sign an autograph. We'll be in D.C.
There's a Chipotle right outside. We'll be eating there.
We'll be there 3 times a day.
Not 3 times. Not 3 times.
God, I almost ate at Chipotle today.
We'll probably eat lunch there every day, though.
I walked past 2 Chipotles today, and I stopped in front of both.
I thought about getting it, but then I decided to eat the chicken drumsticks that were in the fridge.
I stopped in front of both of them and thought, oh man, I should eat some Chipotle.
Yeah.
But the reason I passed 2 is we need audio stuff because we're going to this Katsucon. We went last year, and we kind of run the audio for the game room. And last year, it was a sad sight with our little pissant mixer and our crappy little compressor and the Mac, and we didn't know much about what we were doing, so we had this gigantic mess of. If you see pictures of our setup at Katsucon and you know anything about audio, you'll probably kill yourself. It was like the worst thing ever.
It's pretty sad.
So now we have real equipment. So to finish that off, I bought this big.
Well, more real.
Yeah, but I bought this big case. We're done now. I got all the stuff I need. We can bring the whole Geeknights rig anywhere trivially. It's ready to go, and I realized that I need right angle cables as opposed to straight in cables because there's not so much room in the back. So I thought, all right, I could order these online. But
which you should have done like I told you to.
Well, the thing is, even if I've ordered them online, there's a good chance they would not have come by
If you had ordered them when I told you to, it would have been just fine.
What? Then they would have shipped Monday evening. They might have showed up Wednesday evening.
Every time they've ever shipped anything to us, it showed up the next day.
Actually, no, that's not true. That was only true the second time we ordered from them. And that time, I actually paid a lot for expedited shipping.
Anyway.
If you don't pay for expedited shipping, it comes in 3 to 5 days. And it ships pretty much the evening of at 11:59, they say, well, it shipped.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it.
But anyway, so I figure, all right, New York City, there's a million professional audio stores. I can just go to one and buy everything I need. Duh. And they're right by my work. So I walk over there, to 48th Street and 6th and 7th Avenue where there's Sam Ash and Manny's Music. And there's 5 audio stores in one area. And down the block, there's a couple more. So I go to Sam Ash, the big one. It's pretty well known. It's
Sam Ash is mostly an instrument store.
No, it's not, Scott. Sam Ash has 5 different kinds of stores, and they have one of all of them over there.
That's only over there. Around the country, Sam Ash is a big chain, and most of their stores are just music. It's sort of like a Guitar Center kind of kind of place.
So, but they have a recording one, like they have professional recording equipment. They have like thousands of different mixers and compressors and audio cables and microphones and DJ equipment and like everything you need for a recording studio, foam, everything. So I go in, I'm looking, I don't see what I need. So I go up to the proprietor of the store, like standing behind the counter, and I ask, "Sir, I need some right angle 1/4 inch insert cables." And he says, "Oh, they're right over there." And he points at the area where they sell raw cable making equipment. And so I walk over there and I walk back and say, "No, there's nothing like that over there. I need an insert cable, an already made insert cable." And he says, I mean, they're over there." So I look where he's pointing, and he's pointing at the mono guitar cables. There's nothing but monster $40, like 30-foot mono guitar cables there.
All right.
So I say, "Could you show me where they are?" And at this point, I'm suspecting perhaps this gentleman does not, in fact, know what an insert cable is. And I talk to him further, and I discover that he doesn't know anything about audio. He does not know. He could not even tell me what the cables he pointed at do. So I asked him to see the manager. The manager comes. I said, "Look, I need some right angle insert cables." And he says, and he kind of looks at the other guy, and the other guy gives him this look of, And after about 20 minutes, I explained what an insert cable was. He says, oh, sorry. You were saying insert cable. I thought you meant something else. They're right over here. And he takes me to the, not 1/4 inch, but 1/8 inch monster Y splitters, which are not what I want. So I explained to him what an insert cable does, and he says, we wouldn't carry anything weird like that. So I point behind him at the insert cables and say, "No, they're exactly that. That is what I want. I just want that with a right angle connector on the end instead of a straight in connector." And he's like, "I don't think anyone makes anything like that." And I'm like, "I just saw them online. I just wanted to buy them here instead of ordering them online. They exist. In fact, the same company makes them." And the guy was like, and I was like, "God damn it, never mind." And I left.
Yep.
So, you know how geeks, like, we always complain about how if you go to a computer store, none of the employees know anything about computers, but they act like they know and they rip off people who don't know anything?
Yep.
I've learned something important.
It's true for all stores, period.
If you know anything about a product and you go to a store that sells that product, you're going to learn that no one in that store knows jack for shit about that technology or that product.
Someone who actually knows something about something, unless they're a college student, they're not going to be working retail. So if you actually know what the fuck you want, you buy it online. If you don't know what the fuck you want, you go to a store, and because you don't know what the fuck you want, someone else tells you to buy expensive monster cable, and that's how the world works.
But it was amazing that
the days of intelligent people in retail stores being able to help you out are over, because if someone actually knows they can make more money somewhere else, they're not going to work in a shit retail store.
But every single store I went to, it wasn't like no one at any point said, "I don't know what an insert cable is," or "I'm sorry, I'm not sure."
Because they don't
expect
expect you to actually know what the hell that you want, because anyone who comes in the store doesn't know, because all the people do know buy it online, like I told you to.
So we couldn't have gotten it in time unless I paid for like $20 express shipping.
No, we would have gotten it.
No.
Yeah.
You realize that it wouldn't come in time.
It would have been fine. Well, we're now having it in time anyway, so what's the difference?
Because I didn't need it. I have everything to do for the show. I just needed better cable, so I don't have to leave the back off of this thing. So what annoys me is that the people, they pretty much every single person at every single audio store, every single one on 48th Street in New York City or anywhere nearby there, and I stopped at several, lied and tried to tell me to buy a thing that had nothing to do with what I asked for, but was $40 or so and had the word monster on it.
Yep.
So, all right.
Why don't you try going to the B&H over by the Madison Square Garden?
That's kind of out of my way.
I know, but it's a really fancy store, and they...
I went to 5
big
other
Jews.
Nice stores, and they didn't
this isn't really a music store, but it's like a photo store. But
they're gonna have.
They have crazy equipment there.
Yeah, and you know what? The Sam Ashes did too.
But this is the store where all the TV and radio people go to shop to get stuff for work.
Yeah, and you know what? People do that at these Sam Ashes too, because it's right next to like the Fox News thing and everything. It's just. They had other equipment. They just didn't have exactly what I wanted, and they didn't know what anything was.
I think it's worth your shot to go to the B&H.
I highly doubt it. I could not find a single audio store, even around Beacon, that sells what I want.
Well, nothing around Beacon. I'm betting that store will have what you want.
I'll bet you $50 they don't.
I'm not betting $50.
Uh-huh. Well, you go check tomorrow. And if
I'm
they
not
do,
going over there.
If they do,
it's farther away from me than it is from you.
So you're suggesting that I go over there, way out of my way?
It's like a 10-minute walk.
Actually, it's more than that. I don't have time for that.
Whatever.
It took me an hour to go up to the other music stores and argue with the people who own them until I discovered that they were all incompetent. So anyway, I decided, all right, well, I got to get some printing done on foam boards. I didn't want to order that online just because I didn't really need it that badly, and I know it's super cheap to print stuff on foam board. So I go to the printer in my building. I'm like, all right, I got a USB stick here. Can I print some like 2 foot by 3 foot, 2 foot by 1 foot foam boards, black and white? He's like, oh yeah, that's easy. I'll look for you tomorrow. So I give him the things, and the first sign of trouble was he looks in the directory and he's like, all right, so what's here? And I'm like, there's only 2 image files there. I want both of them printed. And he's like, how big do you want? I'm like, well, they're actual size in the image files. They're pings. He's like, oh, okay. And he starts, and he figures it out. I show him how to do everything. He's like, all right. I'll print these. I'll have them for you tomorrow. You want to put down a deposit? And I'm thinking, deposit? It costs like $20 to print something on poster boards. So I'm like, well, how much is it going to be for all this? And he says $100-something plus tax. And I'm like, all right, never mind. He's like, what do you mean? That's a pretty good deal. I'm like, I can get this for like $20 online plus shipping. And he didn't believe me. He honestly did not believe me.
Did you show him a website?
Well, I'll get to that. He's like, sir, that's not true. You're just trying to scam me. This is a pretty good deal. I'll print these things for you, but that's what it costs. I was like, I named like 4 places online. He's like, And I'm like, come on, go to him. And he won't go to him. And I'm like, all right, whatever, dude. Give me my USB stick back. And I left.
Yep. I would have actually gone to the websites on his computer and showed him.
See, he wouldn't let me behind his little counter, and he was obviously getting very irate, partly because I think there were other customers standing there, and they were giving each other this look of, whoa, wait a minute, I think this guy's been ripping us off. So I was starting to think, all right, I think I'm going to swear off buying anything at a brick and mortar store ever again except groceries.
Congratulations, you joined the Scott Club.
But then
you learned something I learned long ago.
No, but I went to one other store and I realized that no, there is one thing that I'm probably better off buying it in person other than food. And I went to a store in Grand Central.
Try it on?
Actually, no, I ordered a bunch of clothes from Amazon. They should be here tomorrow.
All right.
But there's one thing that if you order from Amazon, it's really not as good as getting it in person. And that is a haircut.
All right.
So today I went and got a haircut in Grand Central. It was like the best goddamn haircut I've ever gotten in my
you went
life.
to that place that was right next to the Hot and Crusty?
Yes, I did. Francesco's?
Yeah, I went there. It was $30, but it was pretty good.
Mine was $60.
Mine was 30, but it was not bad. The thing is, I don't know if I'd pay $30 again, but it was not only a good haircut, but it was very convenient being right the fuck there.
Well, you see, I paid the $60, but that's because I got like the head massage and the wash, and
I just had my hair washed and then cut. I didn't.
So I got the styling and the full deal, and let me tell you, that was like the best haircut of my life.
No.
And I don't think Amazon's gonna cut it.
No, you sure?
I don't think so.
Actually, I'm gonna check right now.
God, if I was Amazon, I would sell a haircut. Yeah. And if anyone ever bought it, I don't know what I'd do, but I'd sell it.
Hold on, haircut. I
don't think you're gonna find it.
Oh, but you can get a hair clipper. And you can get hair cutting for dummies. So there you go.
I know what that looks like. That looks like search for home haircut on YouTube or Google Video. Anyway, what do you got in the news?
All right, I got 4 cell phone newses I'm going to combine, and I maybe arrive at a point. I haven't arrived at a point in my brain yet, but maybe by the time I'm done talking about these newses, I will figure something out to say that's insightful, all right? So first news, ready? These are all from Engadget, by the way. What's an iPhone? 14.3 million Windows mobile phones were sold in the past 6 months alone. Huh. Yeah, not nearly that many iPhones were sold in the iPhone's entire life. Meanwhile,
it is a pretty new product.
Yeah, but this is talking about the last 6 months. 14.3 Windows mobile phones sold worldwide.
Well, I think the reason is that the primary...
14.3 million, not 14.3 that'd be pretty sad. Yeah, I got the 0.3 of a Windows mobile phone. The other 0.7 fell in the trash.
But I think part of that's that the primary market for smartphones are businessmen.
That's what I was going to say.
And
really?
businessmen, like, I have a BlackBerry for work, and that's because There's no business enterprise stuff for the iPhone. I can't use an iPhone at work for any of my stuff. I got to use a BlackBerry or something.
I think what that shows us is that even though the iPhone is way cool, relatively speaking, right?
I think
that the market for phones, the vast majority of people still want a phone that just fucking, at least in the US.
No, what I think it's really just that iPhone doesn't support the enterprise businessy stuff that these people need.
Yeah, so businessmen won't get it, and normal people don't want a smartphone. They want a regular phone still.
But I think Apple is still doing a smart thing with the iPhone because I think it's kind of like the blue ocean strategy of there are people who they can sell an iPhone to who do not need the enterprise business phone, but yet they would like to have something cool from Apple.
Yeah, I think slowly but surely they're going to have to just try to change people's minds, because a lot of people in the US say, I just want to make calls, and they don't really. And even me, who wants fancy features, I got a phone that's got a lot of fancy features, and I think I said this on the show before.
Yeah.
But as soon as I got the phone, I was like, ooh, and I started hacking it and unlocking it and using all the fancy features and stuff. Right.
And now you make calls.
Within a day, I just stopped using all that shit, and I just made calls.
People always say, RIM doesn't buy technology. That's just because, I'm cheap and I'm lazy. There's all sorts of reasons why I don't buy a lot of fancy technology. But I was given, because I always wanted a smartphone. I'd love to have something like that. I wasn't willing to spend a bunch of money. And my work gave me one. And I got it. And for like 2 or 3 days, right, I was installing every freaking application. I got the Opera browser. I set up all my RSS feeds. I got the Google Maps and the GPS. And now, every now and then, I look at my work email. And then I look at my home email, and then I look and say, oh, wow, there's nothing new because I just checked it on my computer an hour ago.
Yep.
And then I go, oh, Google Maps. That'd be great with the GPS if I still drove anywhere. But, Google Reader. Oh, I already read my Google Reader, and Edge is a lot slower than my computer at home. And, oh, great.
Yeah, this is why, despite the fact that the iPhone is not unlocked and is sort of evil, I might consider getting one next year when my contract runs out, because in all reality, the only things I'll use are the Google stuff, and it'll replace my iPod, and I'll have to carry one less device.
If I didn't have...
I wouldn't actually use that other stuff that often.
If I didn't have a BlackBerry for work and need a BlackBerry for work, I would probably also get an iPhone soon, because you know what? It replaces my iPod, and I can see myself watching videos and stuff, and all the stuff it does is the stuff that I do. The thing I use my BlackBerry for the most is the Google Maps, just because I need to look for a business. And you know what? That works really, really well on the iPhone.
Works okay. Speaking of the iPhone, there's a new 16 gig iPhone, and the iPod Touch is now 32 gigs.
God, my Nano is 2 gigs.
Mine's 4. I don't know why you got the 2.
Because it was a lot cheaper.
And
you know what? It's never filled up.
No, I've gone over 2 before.
Well, you know what? It's going to go over 2 now because I haven't listened to podcasts in months, and I'm going to sync up before we go to Katsucon, so.
Oh, great. Okay. So also, the Nokia N95, which is pretty much the phone that does everything, right? Nokia N96. We're talking $800 here, but this is one ludicrous motherfucking phone, let me tell you. It's got a TV tuner. And
that is what I need.
It's got an N-Gage action in there. And
great.
Wi-Fi, GPS.
Now that's cool.
It's got pretty much anything you could imagine. This is the kitchen sink of phones. If I was stupidly rich, I would get it. But really, I wouldn't use 90% of that stuff. So maybe even then I wouldn't.
God, it's a pipe dream. And it's not even a pipe dream. This is fantasy talk. But what I really want, the perfect phone for me, is something the size of this BlackBerry, the size and shape of this BlackBerry. No, I gotta scratch that. The perfect phone just connects to my brain, and I can just talk and do whatever I want in my brain. Right. So never mind.
Yeah, and the one last bit of phone news here. The Android, the Google Android thing, they put out the SDK a while back, and they had a little contest that was hey, whoever makes the best stuff, you'll get $10 million and, whatever, right? Well, the SDK they put out had some problems. I tried to use it, and it did have some problems. You couldn't do certain things, and you couldn't test certain features properly. So now they've said, all right, we're going to update the SDK in a few weeks, and we're going to delay the contest until April. And I'm like, oh, So it seems, I don't know how much confidence I have in this Android now. There seems to be some slip-ups going on with it and such, even though it has some promise. But luckily, all this will be sorted out by January 09 when my phone contract runs out, and I'll be okay.
So, I actually got some news too, despite all my anecdotal talking about walking around in New York City and failing at buying consumer services.
All right.
Now, there's a lot of talk in our forums and the rest of the internet about Anonymous. I'm not going to get into all that, but theoretically, I'm sure you all know, you're all internet people, that Anonymous had planned, and that's interesting to say because Anonymous is not a person or a group, supposedly, but some sort of second-order simulacrum. But I'll get to that. Now,
well, you're getting to a lot of things here, but not really saying much in the meantime.
I'm getting to that. So they had planned this protest of Scientology, and there's a lot of talk on the internet about this is the emergence of behavior on the internet. This is anonymity and this cult of anonymity speaking out, and we'd seen glimmers of this in a as yet unaired documentary that our friends Pete and James filmed at Otakon that they're still working on. But
way to call someone a shit talker.
no, the thing is, they need more footage and they need more time. I don't call them anything because I didn't do anything much beyond Geeknights lately. But it happened on Sunday. You know, people were saying, "Oh, there's going to be these thousands of people. It's going to be this crazy protest," and worried about the police and all that. And I'm not going to talk about the whole thing, but it looks like maybe 200 people showed up to the New York City protest of Scientology. And if this had been more successful, now these people say, "Oh, it was a great success. Look at all the people we got. We got like 200 people in New York City and like 500 people in London and like one person in Tokyo and like 40 people here and 50 people here and all over the world. All these people."
Scientology in Tokyo.
Well, they only had one guy protesting it, so maybe there's only one Scientologist. The guy walks up, he's like, "Yeah, you're dumb." And the guy's like, "Hey, whatever." But all right. This is like the emergence of the internet, like future, the zeitgeist of the internet, that power of anonymity to rise up and we're among you, we're everywhere, blah, blah, blah. They only got 200 people, despite all this talk, in the New York City metropolitan area. Now that's 200 out of, to estimate conservatively, 17 million people.
Mm-hmm.
So out of 17 million people in a generally representative of geekery and, you know, the kind of affluent technorati of America, you got 200 people. There are 200 people in your little organization.
I've seen flash mobs with more people than that.
I don't want to call anonymous shit talkers, but if this had been more successful, I have this whole thing I want to talk about someday we're going to have second order simulacra. We're going to have like these entities on the internet, but I'm not going to talk about that because that didn't happen. The anonymous uprising was not this great event. It was basically just nothing more than what could have been done with BBS's 10 years ago. And it was just 4chan people, and it wasn't anything special. And I almost feel bad about that.
You know what I think this proves? We think?
What does it prove?
That a lot of those people are minors who aren't just allowed to go to a protest. They're probably in school and such. And those are probably shows you what a small percentage of the people are actually independent, free adult individuals who can get up and go somewhere when they want to without, "Mommy, can I go protest at Scientology? Just keep driving to New York City. I need some money for a train ticket. I don't have a job. I'm in middle school."
I mean, I think
I go on 4chan and look at hentais.
I think what it comes down to...
I've never seen a real boob.
Wow, that was harsh.
Yeah.
See, I think what it really... They've seen real boobs. Do you know how many boobs there are on 4chan?
Not live, in person.
But
not since their mama had them.
That's pretty harsh. I wasn't going to go that low, but what I want to say
low.
is that someday we're going to see the emergent behavior of the internet. And if, like, 10,000 people had just showed up in V-masks outside and walked by Scientology, I would have talked about the revolution of the internet. Now, this is the future, but maybe in 10 years. We're not at that point yet. 4chan is not the future. Anonymous is not a second-order simulacra. It is not the emergence of undirected intelligent behavior on the internet. It's just one website. I mean, something awful probably.
It was just kind of a lame flash mob, but not even a flash mob.
Something awful could have probably pulled off something better than what you guys pulled off. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it didn't impress me as much as I hate Scientology. 200
people is all you can get. I think I had more of an impact on Scientology when I argued with one of them for like 10 minutes in Grand Central one day.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, things of the day. Now, this is a much more impressive flash mob than what Scientology put off. I'm sure you're all familiar with Improv Everywhere. These people get a lot of respect from me because nothing in the world...
The best one they did is the, I think it was like Meet an Actual Black Man or something. They had this black guy and was at like, it must have been like a ski resort or something like that. And he just had a sign like, meet a black person. And all these people came up and were like, hey.
I like the one in Union Square where they did all the dancing, but talk about a real flash mob. I have so much respect for these people because nothing in the world is greater to me than people who go out with one thing in mind. And that thing in mind is freaking squares.
Freaking squares, the oldest form of entertainment known to geekkind.
So this video, I mean, the hippies were almost like proto-geeks in terms of freaking squares. That's what they did. I learned that from The Simpsons. Yeah. And my mom, who was a hippie for a number of years. But
if you're ever bored, just try to freak the squares.
Freaking squares. But basically, all these people gathered in Grand Central, and they're walking about doing their business. And then suddenly, for 5 minutes, they all froze, like in a sci-fi movie where time stops for some people but not other people. And this was executed masterfully. Like, this is so well done.
Yeah, and the people tried real hard.
And the best part is apparently the cameramen who were filming it were acting as though they were just walking around. And they're like, Jesus, check this out, dude. So they were acting like they were part of the crowd, even though they were actually part of the flash mob. But there's a couple of people whose reaction borders on the, this is it, sci-fi something. Like, they're kind of freaking out. Like, they don't get that it's just that, you can tell that they're not quite 100%.
You mean they're squares?
Possibly.
Possibly they might be squares.
I think the best part, though, is the guy driving that garbage truck who's like, he's on this radio. He's like, man, I don't know. All these people are just frozen everywhere. I can't move my truck. I don't know what to do.
Obviously, they're not hip.
And no, but the guy's taking his stride. He's like, he just calls his boss. He's like, man, I'm stuck here. There's like hundreds of people frozen everywhere. I don't know. And then they all start moving again. He's like, never mind. They're all moving. I don't know what just happened. But the fact that everyone applauds at the end, really, that was cool. Check this video out. And Anonymous, you could learn something.
Yeah. All right, so since I haven't been looking at my Google Reader, I don't have too many things of the day going on, but Rim found one. It's a pretty okay site here. It shows you a bunch of companies that you might know, like Apple, Canon, which I apparently was originally named Quanon, or Quanon.
IBM, one of my favorites.
IBM, Google, right? LG, which is originally apparently Lucky Chemical, and then was Gold Star, and then was LG. And it shows you their company logos and how they change over time. And, well, the things I have to say about this is, first of all, they don't go all the way back with the Firefox logos. I used Firefox when it was called Phoenix, right?
They have IBM's logo from 1888, and they don't have the first Firefox logo.
I used Phoenix 0.5.
That was back when I said, fuck that browser, it crashes all the time.
That Phoenix Firebird logo they have there is from like 0.8, all right? So they didn't go all the way back in time with the logos there, right? Which they should have. But, yeah, this is pretty cool. And the other thing I learned from this, right, is all these companies, big companies, right, with big trademarks, they changed their logos over time pretty significantly.
Except Google.
Google still changed it, just not so significantly.
They changed the color of like one letter.
They changed the colors around, and they also there's an exclamation point they got rid of, and
yeah, because it didn't look so. And they un-JPEGified it.
Yeah, but anyway, they
added that drop shadow.
Yeah, but they changed the font.
Not that much.
No, it's okay. These companies changed their logos, and it worked out. Like, I've always been kind of worried that, like, we're gonna change our logo. If we pick a logo, we have to stick with it forever. If we ever change it, we're fucked. I'm like, no, you know what? We got this logo now. We'll use it, and then if we change it, we can do that. It's okay.
The cool thing is,
I just feel bad, for whoever made it, because it's like, when it's like you had someone design a logo for you, use it, and then when you stop using it, I'm like, no, I'm not disrespecting you.
Well, at least IBM got away with that, because I'm pretty sure when they changed the logos, people who had made previous logos weren't alive anymore.
Yeah.
But the thing
I don't think we'll change ours soon, but one day when, a few years down the road, if we ever have to, I won't feel too bad now.
But the 1924 IBM logo, there's actually a really, really big, like, poster thing of that. at IBM when I worked there, and so I was familiar with that logo, and I always that was a cool thing. But the ones before that, before the merger, I might have seen him before, but I can't recall those. And I actually really like the first one. It's really got this kind of old school coolness to it. I don't know. I just really like that.
I like that third one from 1911.
Oh yeah, that one. I like the dot and like the O inside that C or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Computer tabulating recording company.
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna do main bit now.
Wiki.
Wiki.
Yeah, I had my Twiki story. It was kind of relevant, shall we say?
Maybe. All right, so today we're gonna talk about some wikis, right? I'm sure everyone here knows about the Wikipedia.
Wikipedia. Don't let Scott fool you with his mispronouncing ways.
My intentionally mispronouncing ways?
Intentionally as it is, I don't know. I don't think Wikipedia is going to catch on as some sort of internet meme.
No.
It's no Pockner.
It's caught on in my office. It's an office joke.
Have you ever seen The Office? Because it's kind of along those lines, I think.
No, not quite, but...
It's worth seeing, actually.
I've seen it, but I'm saying not quite, as in not along those lines.
I don't know. I don't think it's got the staying power.
Anyway... A wiki. What is a wiki?
A wiki is a fast thing because in the Hawaiian language, the word wiki means fast.
Yeah,
and there was see, actually, it was funny because I remember there was a point a while ago when I think Emily said that, yeah, wiki was named after the Hawaiian words, like wiki, the wiki bus. And I think Scott was the one who balked and said, that can't be true.
But I didn't say that. I said, I don't know. Doesn't sound right because I thought I heard something else, but I don't remember what I heard.
Yeah, you usually do that. Someone says something, you go, and then we look it up and, oh, yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And it was. The wiki bus is the original inspiration for the wiki web, which became wikis.
Yes.
So you're all familiar with Wikipedia, but you hear the word wiki, and most people think Wikipedia, but I mean, wiki actually means something broader than that. Wikipedia is a wiki, just as hypertext markup language is a standard general markup language. God. Anyway, so what, Scott, is a wiki?
Well, it's, I don't know if I haven't looked up an actual perfect definition of it. Basically, it's a web application, typically a web application, you know, and you have these pages, and every page has a title, and each page within the page has these sort of wiki links that go to the other pages. So it's this big interlinked thing with all these different...
Oh, so the internet. I can just link to things.
Right. But here's the difference.
What's the difference? I mean,
unlike, each page is just a web page, but unlike regular web pages, anyone who visits the web page can just edit it all they want.
Oh, see,
originally, that's what the web was supposed to be. The whole web was supposed to be like that. But it wasn't.
Well, not really.
Kind of.
Not really.
Sorta.
Not at all.
Yeah, if you look at the original HTTP, there were verbs to do those sorts of things, but now no one uses them.
People didn't even use them back then so much.
I know, but they sort of were gonna do it, and then they didn't.
The key to a wiki, what a wiki really is it's a collaborative platform of content publication, and basically the idea here is that wikis, what I want to get across to all of you, because I don't want to go into like the history of, well, a wiki was come up with by this guy in like 1995, and then in 1994 was like the seed of the idea, and then in this year, and because no one cares about that. Most people don't know who any of those people who came up with the internet were. Like, how many of you even know who Tim Berners-Lee is?
Me.
Yeah, how many of you out there? You should. I had to take classes on that at RIT. But anyway, what a wiki is and what makes Wikipedia so great, like Scott said, is that anyone has an asterisk after it, but anyone can edit it. And the power of that is, like, look at a company, a corporation, right? You got a small company and you have documents. You share emails. Maybe there's the procedure for filling out a TPS report or the procedure for invoking Weeaboo, but whatever you're doing, either you have like a department that manages your documentation, or like Bob from finance has all the finance documentation, and anytime you need to do something with finance, you got to call Bob, or you got to go to like Bob's desk and root through his crap and find the piece of paper that he wrote it on 5 years ago, or Joey Jojo dies and no one knows how to do his job anymore and there's no documentation for it, or the finance department has all their documentation, but it's on their own little web server that's running like some proprietary thing and no one else has access to it, or someone else finds a problem and they ask Joe from finance to change it, but Joe from finance doesn't care, or he's dead or something. It never gets updated. So a wiki, I'm looking through the documentation for, I don't know, Joey Jojo's weeaboo procedure. And I see that he spelled a couple words wrong and he left out the last important step, actually performing the weeaboo. So I just log in and I edit his page. So now everything's correct and I edited it. And it has a record that, Rim edited it. So if I added penis, wee, Howard Stern, Baba Booey, the CEO can say, Rim, why did you deface my documentation?
See, there are other ways to accomplish the same task. Like you could have a bunch of Word documents that everyone shares, or, you could do all sorts of collaborative, document editing sorts of things, and it's not just for company documentation. You can use this for a lot of things. I mean, look at Dwarf Fortress with their wiki that's basically, has all the instructions on how to play the game, and look at some other wikis that, have all the information about all the memes on 4chan and stuff like that.
Yep.
But,
got nothing?
No, my brain just if I got my brain stored in a wiki, so it's hard for me to.
But the idea here, the philosophy of wikis, because there are a lot of ways you can restrict wikis in different ways, and you can make them to the point that they're barely even a wiki anymore, and they just it's kind of like how someone might use a WordPress to accomplish something very specific, and you're not blogging, but you're using blogging software to kind of do something else, and you can do that with a wiki, but. The sort of wiki philosophy is to tap the collective knowledge of a body of people. Like at a company, everyone in your company knows a little bit of information. Or on the internet, people know stuff. Like I know stuff about audio, and someone else knows stuff about video, and someone else knows stuff about weeaboo. So say I want to learn about weeaboo, well, someone else can write an article about it on the wiki. Or I need someone just thinks one day, hey, I know a lot about TPS reports. I'm going to write a procedure how to deal with the TPS report. Instead of having to find a web server in the company and get someone to host it and learn HTML and build this thing and get other people to go to it, and now that person's got to maintain it, you can kind of get the information of the collective body of everyone in your company with the philosophy that everyone has something to contribute, or else why are they working there, or why are they part of your community? And then you can tap all of that kind of unobtrusively. Once everyone knows how to deal with the wiki, you have to train them in wiki, and that's it. Because then everyone can contribute everything they know. You have this knowledge base, and if put out correctly, having a documentation and procedural wiki is like the best thing a corporation can do.
Because then you can just fire everyone and hire people who can work for cheap, and if they don't know something, they look it up in the wiki.
That is one philosophy. I think that's why I received a lot of resistance to documentation and wikis and some other jobs I've had before.
I think the only other thing for wiki is of course the collaborative and the editing and whatnot, and the harvesting the knowledge, the little bit of knowledge from many peoples to create a large body of knowledge in the database or whatever, is the hypertextness of it all, where you're reading a page in, say, an encyclopedia, right? And you're learning about something. And it says, oh, yeah, there's a fancy word that you don't know. Well, you look at that fancy word, you got to go get a dictionary or something. And even then, that might not help you. And you got to do a Google search. In a wiki, if there's a fancy word there, odds are there might be an entire page about that fancy word. Like, for example, at my company, if I'm writing some documentation about this one web application, right? And that web application uses a library we made. Well, when I mention the name of the library, that will be a link to the page that talks about the library. And this, I think, really helps when you're trying to learn from a wiki, and that you don't end up getting partial knowledge and having to infer or figure things out. You can actually, if you spend the time to open up all the links and go deep down and follow through on everything you don't know, you can learn in the fullness everything that there is to be known.
Yep,
and that very much ease.
And in that regard, Scott was right about how wikis, if they follow the wiki philosophy, are a lot like the early web. Not so much in the collaborativeness, but in the sense that it's just a page of information, and there are links to other information from that information. Because remember, the original World Wide Web was a bunch of pages with links to other pages, and people used to follow those links. That's almost a dying phenomenon now, except on Wikipedia.
Yeah. No, but actually what I was trying to get at before was nowadays when you browse the web, you're mostly doing get and post. That's pretty much it. But originally, in fact, many, if you set your web server up right, there's a bunch of other things you can do. You can put, you can delete, you can trace, you can connect, you can options, you can
So little of that is used at all anymore.
I know, but originally, the reason that those things are in there was they had the idea that people would put and delete. You would upload new things on top of the thing you were looking at. It would be, the original idea for the web was it would be more like what a wiki is now, the whole web, but it didn't turn out to be. But we have a wiki now, so it's okay.
Yep.
I think it's better this way, too. If the whole web was a big wiki, we'd be in trouble.
Yeah. And from technological standpoint, and I said this a little bit before, but learning how to deal with a wiki is a lot easier for a lot of people than learning how to deal with HTML and web pages and maintaining them. And we could talk about, we should probably do a show someday on like the best practice of how to actually use a wiki. Because while I said, that's the best thing a company can do is to have a wiki, at the same time, an improperly set up wiki or a wiki that is set up just not in a way that is good or that is set up poorly or that is used by people who don't really understand what's going on will probably do a lot more harm than good. And I could talk for hours because I'm actually doing that at my company right now. But in terms of how to set up a wiki or what's good or bad about wikis, how to set up workflows and all that stuff. But the moral of this Geeknights episode, and just a little, we went long in the front, partly because I didn't have a lot to say without going into technical detail about wikis, is simply that anytime you have to collaborate with more than a few people about something, I believe that a wiki is, even a temporary wiki, is one of the best ways to do that.
Yeah.
Think about all the possibilities. Say you play D&D with all your friends. Have the DM or someone run a wiki, and you all just update your character information in there, and, say the DM posts a summary of the most recent session, and then you go in and you remember one thing in more detail than he did, so you add to it, and then someone else says, oh, well, I remember, and they add to that, and then, oh, I'm going to write a backstory, and they add like this whole bit. Anything you do with other people, you can use a wiki to kind of get all the information you all have out in such an easy and simple way. And it's trivial to set up wikis. You can use like QuickieWiki or Twiki and just set them up and they just work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm having a problem today.
It's already late. We both, I stayed in the city late to eat dinner and try to buy stuff.
Yeah.
And get an hour and a half long haircut, but...
God.
Well, I got the massage to go with it, and then the lady kept playing with my hair afterward.
Yeah. The only other thing I got to say about wikis is that the main problem I see with them today is that they require anyone to edit it to sort of learn the wiki language. And the wiki language, the wiki language is not super complicated, but it's not just, it's not so obvious to just, you can know nothing.
Funny because that's one of the concerns. I'm going to talk someday about like enterprise wiki. I think that's definitely a show we have to do now, but I've been experimenting a lot with how to make, how to teach people who aren't super technological about this sort of thing, how to deal with a wiki, and how to make a wiki, in terms of setting up the initial, seeding the data that's already there and the data structures that are already there to make it intuitive for people to add to it. And also, I've been looking a lot into different kind of WYSIWYG editing solutions, and it's not that difficult to make a wiki that is very accessible to people who are not technological.
No, it's not that difficult, but a lot of the WYSIWYG things I've seen are basically just a string of buttons, and then the buttons will put the wiki language in there. It's it's no more helpful than a button that puts in a P tag.
Because that's not WYSIWYG.
I know.
By definition, that's not WYSIWYG.
I know, but that's sort of, that's what I've seen.
Yeah, but I actually say WYSIWYG because I found that actually the new version of Twiki, just because this is if you want to see it, the newest version of Twiki comes by default with a WYSIWYG editor on. And it's pretty slick, I gotta say.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
But next time you have to collaborate with people, consider using a wiki. And someday we'll do a show on the best practices of using wikis in kind of high-powered corporate enterprise, big deal environments. But let me know if you're interested in that, and we might do that show sooner rather than much later.
Yeah, it's the one big problem I think with wikis, other than the Having to learn the language thingies.
Having the Indigo Children article on Wikipedia that I gave up on fixing.
Oh, no.
After like 2 years of constantly editing that article.
All the web server stuff behind wikis, setting them up, making them work, all that sort of stuff is actually not very polished, even for MediaWiki.
I'll say one thing. There's 2 things I can say about that. One, what someone needs to make, and I think that the VMware player and that sort of thing is making an opportunity for people who are altruistic to make appliances that will just make the world a better place real quick. And one of those things I think would be a fully functional wiki appliance. Hit play, you've got a wiki. Ready to go, just run it.
Mm-hmm.
And those exist, but a lot of them are not so great. I was playing around with the Twiki one, and it was okay, but it was by far not an optimal solution.
No.
Someone should do it better. Not me, I don't have time, but it's one of you out there.
All right, we're out.
Yeah, we're done. Stay tuned tomorrow. We'll talk. We'll be a little bit less tired probably. And Wednesday we got a good show prepared. There's no way in hell there's going to be a show on Thursday because
forget about it.
Katsucon deadlines, they is a lumen. This has been Geek Nights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music.
Be sure to visit our website at www.frontrowcrew.com, where you'll find show notes, links, our awesome forum, a link to our Frapper map, and links to all the RSS feeds.
We say feeds plural because Geek Nights airs 4 nights a week, covering 4 different brands of geekery. Mondays are science and technology. Tuesdays, we have video games, board games, and RPGs. Wednesdays are anime, manga, comic nights. And Thursdays are the catch-alls for various rants and tomfoolery.
You can send us feedback by email to geeknights@frontrowcrew.com. Or you can send audio feedback via Odeo. Just click the link that says Send Me an Audio on the right side of our website.
If you like what you hear, you can catch the last 100 episodes in iTunes or in your favorite podcatcher. For the complete archives, visit the website, which has everything.
Geeknights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Share-alike 2.5 license. This means you can do whatever you want with it as long as you give us credit, don't make money, and share it in kind. Geeknights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.